Indianapolis this week.
This is going to be a fight, and I'm ready.
Mike Pence announces his run for re-election as a new poll shows huge potential troubles for him. We go one-on-one with the head of the state Democratic Party on what it will take to unseat the governor. Plus, driving the city into court. The council files its lawsuit over the Vision Fleet contract. We ask, why a lawsuit and not mediation?
From RTV6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us for Indianapolis This Week. We're also online right now on Twitter. Follow our account at Indy This Week and join the debate as we start today with the race for governor. Mike Pence making it official Thursday night, announcing that he will seek a second term as governor. It was a feisty Mike Pence seeming to double down on some of the issues that have brought criticism in his first 2.5 years in office. RTV6 State House reporter Katie Hines was at the speech.
Governor Mike Pence kicked off his campaign in front of a crowd of about 800 Republican Party faithfuls on Thursday night. He pointed to his accomplishments during his first 2.5 years in office, including the largest educational voucher system in the country and improvements to the state's economy. But he said there's more work to be done, specifically to improve both the economy and education. Although he didn't mention the Religious Freedom Act by name, the governor told supporters that Hoosier hospitality came under attack, and he takes some responsibility for it. He says that Indiana won't tolerate discrimination, but freedom should be protected. The governor says he knows the campaign for 2016 is going to be a fight, but he's ready for it. 3 Democrats have already announced that they plan to try to unseat him in that election. Katie Hines, RTV6.
Thanks, Katie. This week we also saw some new poll numbers that suggest a big trouble for the Pence campaign right now. That poll saying the governor has not seen any recovery since the Religious Freedom Act controversy. Only 34% gave him a favorable job rating, 43% unfavorable. And take a look at these general election comparisons. Pence is in a statistical tie with both leading Democrats right now. Democrat John Gregg at 41-40 and Glenda Ritz at 42% each. Looking deeper into those numbers, Ritz holds a 20% lead among college-educated women, specifically connected to his handling of education and RFRA. And keep in mind, the Republican Governors Association has Indiana's race as one of its top priorities in 2016. The group's chairman releasing a statement saying, thanks to Governor Pence's leadership, he is in strong position to win a second term and build upon his success of moving Indiana forward. The Republican Governors Association is proud to support Governor Pence for re-election. Joining us now is John Zodi. He is the chairman of the Indiana Democratic Party. He's been in that job since March of 2013, and before that, he served as the Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic political director on President Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. Welcome to the program. Historically, it is very difficult to unseat an incumbent governor. Do you have someone among the 3 that can do the job?
Well, I believe that any of the 3 who are announced now can be successful in our race for the governor's office in 2016. We're waiting to make sure the field is set. There are some others who have been talked about who may enter the race. I believe that anyone who runs for governor on the Democratic ticket, whoever our Democratic nominee is for 2016, understands the issues, understands what's important in Indiana, and can beat Mike Pence in 2016.
You saw that poll. It's just a snapshot in time, so things could change by August or even September. Among the people that are currently in the race, Karen Talley, Glenda Ritz, John Gregg, who is your strongest candidate facing the incumbent governor?
Well, I'll let the Democrats here in Indiana decide who our strongest candidate is. My job is to facilitate a process that encourages all Democrats to get to know those 3, as well as anyone else who might enter the race. The Indiana Democratic Party needs to provide structure and organization to this process as we move through the summer. We're still a little bit early. We're 11 months from a primary. So as we go through this, what some people call a primary before a primary, potentially, it's our job to make sure we facilitate a process where folks feel they are heard and that their voices are heard. And our #1 priority is to keep our focus on Governor Pence and talk about why Democrats can do better in the economy, for our education system, and why we are better for the overall well-being of Hoosiers.
And I've heard you say you want a robust primary because that's good for the party. But how do you do so it doesn't hurt, so that the 3 don't beat each other out, and then when they get to the election, they're already beat down and wore down and spent all the money that they had?
Sure. Well, I think that starts with robust communication among the candidates, among all those folks who are interested in this process. As we move through, I'm encouraging people to look at what we know on paper, who's been able to raise the necessary resources to run a viable campaign for governor, who is getting endorsements, who seems to have the most grassroots support. There are a lot of things that go into running for governor, and so as we look at those candidates, we'll see who emerges as the strongest.
Let's talk issues. This governor can point to an economic agenda. We just saw on Friday unemployment numbers go down. The state, for most accounts, has a good economic healthy record, but you point to some weaknesses in that record.
Well, I do, and it's important to look at it. When you look at the unemployment rate, you also have to look at what jobs people have, what wages they are making, and continually we see the wage gap in Indiana increasing, that wage gap growing. We just dropped a ranking in per capita income and wages in Indiana. We're down to 39th. Just last week, we saw ourselves tied with 2 other states at 44th in GDP growth at 0.4%. So over the last few years, since Governor Pence has been in office, and even at the end of the Daniels administration, that economic growth has slowed. People are making less in Indiana now, on average, than they were 10 years ago. So that economic record has holes in it, and we don't believe the governor is being transparent with Hoosiers.
You've called yourself, your team, the problem solvers. So based on what you just said right now, how do you solve that problem?
Well, it starts by making sure that we have people in office who understand that to grow Indiana's economy, it's not just one issue. It's not just about taxes. It's not just about regulation. The governor really doubled down on his ideology in his speech when he announced his reelection. Democrats understand that to grow and build and have an economy where every single person in this state feels that they should be welcome, if they want to live, work here, and raise a family, it takes strong communities, it takes a good tax system, it takes a good education system, and when given the choice, we've seen Mike Pence choose his ideology every single time over the well-being of Hoosiers.
On Thursday, the governor took some responsibility for the RFRA debacle. Was that enough? Or will Democrats remind the electorate, Hoosiers, during the campaign about RFRA?
Well, it starts by reminding Mike Pence that he chose his ideology over including and protecting every single Hoosier in this state, which he has refused to do. It is not enough that he took some responsibility for it. He is the governor. He made a choice. He put Indiana's reputation on the line. He caused an economic panic in this state, and we will certainly remind folks about that. Both the economic panic that he caused, in addition to the fact that all Hoosiers in this state need to be protected.
Democratic Chairman John Zodi, thank you so much. Please come again.
Thank you, Rafael.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Coming up, we bring in our political insiders. Is the race for governor set to become an all-out brawl over the next year and a half? Their answers next on Indianapolis This Week. Back to Indianapolis this week. Our political insiders are here. Democrat Adam Kirsch, Abdul Hakim Shabazz with IndyPolitics.org. Let's jump right into the race for governor. We saw the governor make that speech on Thursday. Was it a commanding speech? Has he set the agenda? Abdul, do you think this is the speech we needed to hear?
It was a first step on the road to Mike Pence and what he hopes will be a re-election victory. He made it perfectly clear, talking about Indiana's record, still talking about the challenges, admitting, some culpability in the whole RFRA debacle, but he also made it clear that the governor is going to have the money to compete and sort of sent a warning, to the Democrats, hey, if you're going to come after me and my record, expect to have the same thing done exactly to you.
What we actually saw was a cornered, wounded animal striking out at anything he could. I mean, this is a man who wrote Confessions of a Negative Campaigner and forswore ever doing a negative campaign again, saying in his announcement speech that he's going to run a negative campaign. It's astounding.
Well, I was there in the room and actually read the speech before it was publicly released. The governor did not say he was going to do a negative campaign. Basically, what he said was, if you're going to go after me and my record, which is fair game in politics, we're all grown-ups here, then expect me to do the same, for John Gregg, for Glenda Ritz, for Karen Talley, or the Democrat to be announced later.
Well, we may have heard that, but what we didn't hear is we didn't hear about equality. We didn't hear once. He said almost 2,000 words last night. Didn't say equality, didn't say equal, didn't say LGBT. He didn't address the core issue that he hasn't addressed. He hasn't said.
No, what the governor did was the governor opened the door to a discussion about a human rights ordinance incorporated into state law and looking for a balance. One that says you do not do discrimination, and the other part that says you respect religious liberty and religious freedom, which is in every other statewide human rights ordinance across the country. I've actually done a couple of these things as a lawyer, and as in most of these state laws, it is perfectly balanced. We protect people from discrimination, but also respect, people of religious faith and religious institutions.
But fundamentally, he had a unique opportunity last night with the eyes of the state, quite frankly, on him to actually reverse the damage he did, and he didn't take it. He didn't say, "I support equal rights for all Hoosiers," and quite frankly, I'm baffled by why.
He did say he supports equal rights for all Hoosiers, but he said he does not believe in discrimination.
He didn't say he supports equal rights for all Hoosiers. He said, "Yeah, discrimination is bad."
Did that speech reflect the poll numbers that had come out earlier in the week, which shows that RFRA is still a major issue for this governor, as well as his education standing? Despite the fact that the legislature has spent millions more this year than ever before, it seemed that poll said, listen, on RFRA and education, we're not buying it.
The poll did not help. I knew when they were planning the governor's re-election announcement.
You say it did not help, but let's be honest.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, the poll did have an impact.
Was the poll a punch in the gut? Was that a wake-up call to the governor?
It was I would argue, was one of the most recent series of wake-up calls. They knew they were in trouble over the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. The poll that came out, a couple days before the governor's re-election announcement, just cemented it. I knew they were looking at, in the discussions that the governor had been having with his re-election staff, should they do some kind of human rights thing? The governor's never said, no, this is off the table. This is the beginning of a discussion.
But they did say no, Abdul. I mean, Republican leaders in the House and Senate refused to allow a vote on human rights protections last session. The governor has said it's not a priority for him time after time. He has had the opportunity to address this, and and quite frankly,
Adam,
it's because it's a core tenet of the Republican Party.
On your side, which Democratic gubernatorial candidate benefits from this, from the RFRA education issue, without also alienating a lot of voters? Because at the same time, we get that it's an issue. But is this the issue for the 2016 campaign?
I think you're going to see a lot of issues, but I think the most important issue, and what the Democrats are most addressing, is how it affects the average Hoosier's bottom line and how we can create better working class jobs in this state. And quite frankly, RFRA has had an effect on that. Education has had an effect on that. And you're not seeing the governor do anything to address that.
I guess that's why as unemployment drops down to near record lows, the average wage of jobs created is about $25 an hour and some change. So the jobs are there. The issue,
Indiana wages continue to lag behind the national average.
And part because we have a skills gap in this state, because we have a distinct segment of our population that does not have the skills that are needed to get the high-wage, high-paying jobs, and that is something that both the governor, who's done leadership, and the Democrats, Tim Land and Scott Pilaf, are on board and trying to fix.
I'm glad you brought up the issue of education. We are the nation's largest provider of vouchers. The State Department of Education reported last week that $40 million was being spent on private education on kids who previously had not attended public education. What does that mean? For some folks, they're saying that this voucher program is not working, but for others,
I would argue it's working perfectly, because as a big believer in school choice and universal choice, I believe that the money should follow the student, and parents should send their kids where they think they will get the best education, whether it's traditional public, whether it's charter, or whether it's private. So I would argue it's working just fine.
Fundamentally, this program was sold originally on giving families the opportunity to go to schools they may not have the other opportunity to. Turns out that's not how it's being used. It's being used to subsidize private education, and that's not a good system.
And let me just say, like the 21st Century Scholars Program?
Let me just say this so we don't get the hate Twitter or the hate emails, that there are great private schools and that there are great public schools. But was this program really intended to subsidize private schools?
No, the program was to give students who were originally in a public school that was not performing an opportunity to go to a school that was performing.
So is it working? I get what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Is it working?
I would argue yes, because you're getting people, the right to make the choice to put their kids in the school where it sees best.
Next week, the U.S. Supreme Court will rule possibly on two major issues that will impact the entire country, that of course being the Affordable Care Act and same-sex marriage. How will that change the dynamics of what we're talking about today?
I think if the court comes back and rules that same-sex marriage is legal, like I said, it's going to have a big impact on what lawmakers do come January. If they come back on the Affordable Care Act and throw it out, that's going to be a mixed bag, because it is going to make some premiums go up for some Hoosiers, but at the same time, it's going to take a big burden off about 40 school districts that have had to totally revamp the way they hire instructional aides and bus drivers, because of that stupid 30-hour work week is now defined as full-time.
Throwing out the Affordable Care Act isn't an option, realistically. There is no plan B to undo this. It was a great law when it passed. Nobody really has come out with another solution.
Okay, I'll fill it out. No, but the thing is, what you got to go back and remember is just plain and simple. Under the Affordable Care Act, it was 39 school districts across the state of Indiana have now had basically people who were part-time be defined as full-time, so they had to reduce their hours, and they don't have health insurance.
Will we hear about this on Monday or not? Do you think it'll come Monday? Because the court can do whatever it wants, right? That's the good thing about it being a federal justice.
The next 2 days are Monday and Thursday is when the courts come out with a decision.
So maybe tomorrow we'll hear something.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Makes for great radio during the week.
The conversation between our insider Matters continues on social media. Join Abdul, Adam, and all of the rest on Twitter and let them hear what you think right now. You can also follow our new Twitter account at @IndyThisWeek and stay up to date on politics 24/7. Coming up, taking the mayor of Indianapolis to court. A lawsuit filed by the City County Council hoping to shut down the city's new electric fleet vehicle program. Vision Fleet's CEO joins us next on Indianapolis This Week. Welcome back to Indianapolis This Week, where we now shift our focus to the fight over the new electric vehicle fleet for Indianapolis and that contract that generated so much controversy. The City County Council has formally filed its lawsuit against Vision Fleet and the Ballard administration. The copy obtained by Indianapolis This Week says the council believes the deal was void from its inception because the mayor did not follow proper bid procedures. As the mayor told us on this program last Sunday, he believes the contract will hold up to legal scrutiny and that council members are using the issue to improve their chances in this year's elections. Joining us now, Michael Barlowski. He is the CEO of Vision Fleet. We are now seeing, sir, a war of words on social media. What do you make of the City County Council choosing to follow litigation versus mediation?
Well, the dispute between council and the mayor's office is now going to court, and there's two paths. There's mediation and there's litigation. Litigation is very costly, could cost up to millions of dollars for the city, and so Vision Fleet stepped in after council voted to sue to ask the courts to mediate. It's going to be simpler, it's going to be faster, it's going to be significantly cheaper, and Vision Fleet, frankly, we were very surprised that council immediately petitioned to dismiss mediation and then subsequently filed a lawsuit. And they filed this lawsuit, by the way, with outside counsel, costing tens of thousands of dollars. So again, Vision Fleet remains really surprised that City Council doesn't want to sit at the table and achieve the same ends at a significantly lower cost to taxpayers.
On this Sunday morning, we continue to see a war of words on Twitter about this issue. Have you lost confidence in this City County Council? Can you do business with the city of Indianapolis and this government in light of what you're seeing develop?
Well, in my mind, Rafael, actions speak a lot louder than words. So I heard City Council in their meeting, for example, complain about the issue with police vehicles and assignments. And so Vision Fleet worked hard in the background to provide a solution to immediately get Ford Fusions into the police officers, supported by the FOP. And in the filing yesterday to sue, City Council explicitly is asking the court to prevent Vision Fleet from implementing this solution. So I need to see some actions that the City Council cares about saving taxpayers' money and wants to actually solve problems. And I think a bigger problem, again, is there's no actual vision of how they're going to reduce costs. Let's remember the fundamentals. Vision Fleet was hired to help. Indianapolis is one of the most expensive fleets in the country, and we've come in and have been able to lower costs 14%. So again, despite this procedural issue that they're fighting with the mayor's office, what is City Council's plan as the fiscal body to actually deal with their fleet and actually lower fleet costs?
So have you lost confidence in the city government?
I need to see some actions from City Council.
What does that mean?
They're willing to sit
what kind
down,
of action
they're willing to be reasonable and mediate. Yeah, I think City Council needs to show some good faith efforts of not spending taxpayer money on outside counsel, demanding to litigate issues when they can sit at the table and mediate like reasonable, solutions-oriented leaders that they should be.
Is there a threat to public safety? Because there's an issue about, of course, providing vehicles to police officers and public safety in general. What do you say to the city folks that are wondering, why are these two groups, why can't they just get this together? Why can't they get this done?
It's a great question. That's why Vision Fleet is always trying to take the solutions-oriented approach. There's absolutely solutions on the table to make sure that all people in public safety, all the great officers can drive cars that not only fit their needs, that are significantly safer than the vehicles they're driving in today. We're taking officers out of cars that are sometimes 16, 17, 18 years old, don't have passenger side airbags, not with the most modern safety equipment. And we're putting them into 2015 5-star crash-rated vehicles. And let's remember, the #1 reason for officer fatalities are single passenger vehicle deaths. So in Vision Fleet's mind, we're putting them in much safer vehicles. And importantly, we have solutions to get FOP and IMPD exactly what they want, which are Ford Fusions, and City Council yesterday in courts blocked us from pursuing this solution. So City Council, again, their actions speak louder than words. Words say they're concerned about the safety of public safety officer. Their actions is they're going to court to legally block solutions that can increase their safety.
This debate will continue. We thank you for joining us this Sunday morning. Thank you so much. Very much. And we received this tweet to our Indy This Week account from Republican Council member Jeff Miller, saying he agreed the main issue was to fix the fleet situation for police officers, adding that this is very disappointing and puts our officers at risk, was hoping for mediation first. Coming up, the special honor in the nation's capital for one of our Jefferson Award recipients and how she's making sure infants who may have been abandoned are never forgotten. We want to take a moment to celebrate a big honor for one of our Jefferson Award recipients. Linda Zanaco represented Central Indiana in Washington, D.C. this week, part of the National Jefferson Award ceremonies. Now, Linda founded He Knows Your Name, an organization providing funeral and burial services for abandoned babies.
He Knows Your Name ministry was born out of the depths of God's love for his children. Because while I named them, Amelia, Anne, and Moses, and others in death, God always knew their name.
Linda says over the past 5 years, He Knows Your Name has touched 12 states. She says her Christian faith guides her sacred mission to give every child worth. We want to thank you for joining us this Sunday for Indianapolis This Week. Have a great day and keep in touch with us on the RTV6 app. Have a great Sunday.